Hello, I'm Shyboy616 and welcome to episode 4 of Sharks Week 2024. I'm with, of course, Like a Shark, the Land Shark, and we're going to introduce the next movie which just arrived. Now, this movie, I'll admit, I was actually a little excited to talk about this one. It came out last year, but it didn't come out in time for me to talk about it for last year's Sharks Week. So with that in mind, this movie... This might be the reason I might not review as many of these types of movies anymore. This one was also put out by Wild Eye Releasing, much like all the other movies from the last couple days. From the title and the cover, I feel like we can assume that this is going to be a parody of sorts of Cocaine Bear, a movie that's actually very fun and quite entertaining. Like, look, we have the shark here and all that. And let me find out, what's with these shark movies that came out recently having a helicopter in the cover? For some reason. Like this one, there's no helicopter that ever pops up in the movie. This one at least had one come up. This one, guess what? Nothing remotely like this happens in the entire movie. There's not even any cocaine involved. In fact, they make up a drug which is actually a hallucinogenic, and it's just a pill that gets popped every now and then. So much like Shark Exorcist, I took notes of this movie the entire way, so I wouldn't have to rewatch anything about it. Because at the end, this movie left me with some thoughts and some feelings that I would like to get out there. In case you're blind, this is in fact a different take. I didn't even wear the same shorts for this, but that last guy, he went on a little too long about this movie. I've grown since then. The last few days ago when I actually recorded that. I recorded most of these in the same day. So this is me coming back after editing a few. It really does look like it wanted to be Cocaine Bear but with a shark. In terms of the poster and title, everything about this movie has absolutely nothing to do with the name and the cover. And it seems like an obvious knock at Cocaine Bear, which is already a ridiculous title in itself. But that was a pretty big movie that went to theaters and everything. This was some cheap piece of crap that came out on DVD and straight to streaming, and not in the fun way like a Netflix original would be. And this was my note at the top. Slow and boring. Monsters are fun to look at for the bits they pop up. And after looking at a history of this director's films that he's done, it seems that he has a thing for stop motion. And I don't know why he doesn't try to find ways to get hired to do that, or make movies centered more around that rather than making a piece of crap and cut to a few shots of it. This whole movie is just nothing. It's kind of like watching Shark Exorcist, but worse. At least that one I was able to make fun of parts of it, then the sequel was just, the whole movie felt like filler, and then this one somehow managed to be worse than what I thought was already part of the worst. So there are tiers of the worst if you couldn't figure that out yourself. If you're like me and watched several thousand movies, you're gonna run into some crap. I'm gonna go ahead and walk you all through the movie just because I want to do it the same justice as the other ones, but I'm gonna be a little harsher with this one. So a guy's making a drug deal and then he gets kidnapped. Turns out, I guess he betrayed his own gang, so it's his own guys that kidnapped him, and they feed him to this weird crab shark thing. We then get explained what exactly this monster was. We then cut to this guy that wakes up in a hospital, and we cut back to a few weeks later as he's giving a story as to how he ended up there. As not only is he in the hospital bed, he's cuffed to it. They don't want him to leave. He's an undercover cop trying to infiltrate this gang that's been manufacturing a strange drug. HT25 or HT25. So, not cocaine, it's a pill. A hallucinogenic that gives people hallucinations of being a shark. And while they were making this drug, they were doing experiments on animals, I guess, to see what it would do. And it somehow made this crab shark, man shark, and then this bat spider. It only shows up that one time, and that's what they decided to put on the slipcover. The insert. There you go. I keep saying the wrong word. He breaks down the gang, and there's several other gangs were shown because this main guy, he's trying to be the top dog and clear out any and all competition. So you got the leader, his right hand, which is some dude that pretty much plays his hitman and enforcer, I guess. He goes around killing the other gangs, which are only ever shown in groups of 2 people. And then you have this lady doctor that's helping work on the thing. And there's this other guy that they work with that they're going to be tracking down later. One of the main things they want the undercover cop to do is get close to the woman, since she seems to be the one behind the actual HT25. They eventually get a romance going, and that leads the rest of the movie. Which by the rest of the movie, I mean maybe the last half hour, 20 minutes. But before we get to that, the guy had a snitch on the inside, but he ends up getting killed by man shark, but they don't quite know that yet somehow. And while they're clearing out the gangs, the other doctor that's been working with them, he runs off with their stuff in a case, and they have to go track him down, as they're also supposed to be meeting up with some of their dudes on an island somewhere else. What this is all leading up to is they're trying to be the only people, not only in this area, but the only ones manufacturing this drug, so they can have that whole operation going themselves. The guys that go to meet up with the people on the island, they find the boat destroyed and a dead guy. They do manage to get the doctor that ran off, but they don't kill him, and there's several times where they get him, he runs off, manages to get the case, and somehow, no matter what they do, the doctor gets the case again, runs off, and when they get it back, they still don't kill him. Where there had to have been a certain point where they realized, like, this dude clearly doesn't want anything to do with us. We might as well just kill him and kept the thing for ourselves and find someone else to work on it. As the cop and the woman get more involved, they eventually decide they need to run away. In doing so, they happen to run into the guys that are after the case. They hold them at gunpoint, force them to drive them around the boat so they can try to find their contact. Which I guess they were supposed to meet more than one guy, even though this showed they found someone dead already. But they're really insisting that they need to go find who they're supposed to meet. There is a kind of fun bit, if you can even really call it that, where we actually get the crab shark. It actually is kind of fun, silly, cheap, the stop motion. Not the best, but it's entertaining enough when it comes up. I guess amusing is a better word. At this point, the gangsters do have the case, but in all the chaos, the undercover cop and the woman, they get away. They make it to an island which is inhabited by only one house. They go to it, and the woman does not want to help them in any way, which, reasonable. I'm in this cabin by myself. I don't want anything to do with anyone, obviously. Turns out though, she's being held hostage by another gangster that's trying to be sure everyone gets what they're supposed to. When they figure that out, the woman plays distraction at the front door while the undercover cop sneaks around the back to take down the thug. So everyone manages to meet at this cabin, and we have a bit of a showdown, I guess. The doctor, once again, in his many attempts, runs off with the case, is only stopped by the gangsters, is brought back, but not without the gangster getting hurt by the crab shark. It only happens this one time, I'm pretty sure, and it spits some acid or something at him and he just melts away. Another interesting practical effect though, it's pretty cool. The last thug that was holding the girl hostage inside the cabin, he ends up trying to run off with the case, only to get stopped by the crab shark as well, but he gets eaten, and having the case in there, I guess, somehow makes it explode. And then it melts away, kind of like the dude melted away when he got sprayed by it. At the end, all that was left was the undercover cop, the woman, the girl in the cabin, and the doctor. It was in all this though that the undercover cop, he called in his guys saying, he's like, y'all need to come here now. But he is not able to get away. As we saw, he wakes up in the hospital handcuffed by the lady doctor he ran away with. She wasn't actually gonna let him go or anything. I guess the master plan was to be the last one, so the guy doesn't even win. The last thing they do is they give him some of the drug, which I guess the dose they give him at this point turns him into one of the shark men. Having flashbacks to somehow a better movie last year. It's a little silly because this other doctor or whatever comes in and he gets attacked. What they wanted him to do was, I guess, just kill some people and then he would die from the drug itself. And that's the end of the movie. I've essentially decided to blacklist this guy's movies. He has a few other shark movies, and that little shark pack I got Shark Exorcist in, one of those is his. I don't think I'm gonna get around to watching it. Maybe, just maybe, his older stuff's slightly better, but after reading some reviews, it sounds like this guy does the same stuff all the time with a lot of the same people, and I can't imagine wanting to go and look at every other movie this guy did, no matter what they are. What happens with a lot of these really random cheap movies, they try to catch you with the weird cover, weird titles, but then most of the time it's just watching really long shots of nothing happen, really cardboard acting, and that's something that's been running in the movies I've been watching the last few days. At least Ouija Shark, they had a fun idea and they tried to have some fun with it. Even if there was a lot of these long shots of nothing just for the sake of making up runtime, you know, they probably didn't have much money so they didn't get that great of actors, or it was just part of their family. Which, that's fun in itself. That's something I didn't mention in Ouija Shark. He does have his family pretty involved with that, so at least that's kind of cool. Then Shark Exorcist, I don't even know how the hell that got a sequel. Those were just awful. Even with stuff happening, it was boring, nothing. But this, something about this one just upset me so much more. It sounded like it could have been cool, but we had this droning dialogue, the guy is a loser, everyone's a loser. And at the end, the good guy doesn't win, and we don't get a satisfying or interesting ending. It's like, okay, it's kind of funny he becomes the Shark Man and kills, but then the other really lazy thing, the closing credits were even the same thing they used for the opening credits. Why put that in there twice? The movie's not even that long, but there's just so many of these. If you just look up Shark on Tubi, because that's how I was finding a lot of these movies to see if there's anything I wanted to pick out. You just put the word shark, there's tons of these random cheap ones, and only a few of them actually look like they might be something different worth talking about. So I'm not saying this is the end of Sharks Week forever. I do want to keep this going as long as I can, or as long as I want. So there's plenty of other stuff for me to talk about, just maybe not movies this grade unless I see something pop up that's genuinely interesting. If you enjoyed what you saw, leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and share the video. If you have something to say, feel free to do so in the comments below. This is in fact the last review for Sharks Week 2024, but come back tomorrow for a Shyboy 616 original movie. I'm Shyboy 616, and quite possibly for the last time this year, like a shark the land shark, and we'll see you, or at least I will, next time.